Welcome, everybody, to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined once again by Wrestling Inc.'s own Raj Giri. And this episode, we're here to talk about SmackDown Live for October 4th, 2016. Raj, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, man. So interesting SmackDown last night in the build-up to No Mercy. We'll be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what's going on with TNA, the latest on Impact Wrestling. And, of course, all the news, all the chatter about Goldberg possibly returning to the WWE, what's going on with that situation. But first, let's talk about SmackDown Live. We have the No Mercy pay-per-view coming up this Sunday, October 9th in Sacramento, California. I will be there on the scene. Wrestling Inc. will be covering the podcast in its entirety we'll be covering the event on its podcast in its entirety after the show with Vince Russo, Raj Giri, and Matt Morgan here. And let's talk about the build-up last night. It seemed like the focus, even though we had the main event segment with John Cena, Dean Ambrose, and AJ Styles, once again, a huge focus on Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. What did you think last night about this overly produced series of promos that we saw?
I'm ready for this one to end. I think I think this has been the worst stuff on the show. I think otherwise, I think SmackDown was really good. I thought Raw was good this week too, as we mentioned on Monday. I still thought SmackDown was better. It has that huge advantage with being 2 hours over 3, so it's a lot more compact and it doesn't drag. But yeah, gosh, man, that Orton Wyatt stuff is just brutal. But I wonder, they did that tease with him getting out of the room. I wonder if that's a tease for Luke Harper coming back.
Oh yeah, maybe that would definitely make sense. Although, do you think with Harper that's big enough? I mean, now I know Luke in the Wyatt family hierarchy, obviously, pretty well known and appreciated member of the Wyatt family. But do you think that is going to be a big enough plot point? Now that we've got Braun on Raw, Eric Rowan, it seems like they just kind of treated him as the one that was still there.
Well, he's injured now. Eric Rowan's injured, so he's kind of out. Yeah,
man, the Wyatt family just keeps shrinking and shrinking.
Right. I mean, that's a good point. Luke Harper kind of just goes back to where they were. They've done Luke Harper interfering on behalf of Bray as a surprise before when Harper was injured. So, I mean, if they got something creative, I just hope it's not some hocus pocus, hocus pocus stuff, and it's something legitimate. But I don't know. This stuff, like I've said before, this stuff just doesn't do it for me. The over unrealistic horror movie kind of stuff just makes me roll my eyes. But
the weirdest part. So the show did open. We had Bray versus Kane, and there was a serviceable match. I mean, I think it's about what you would expect from that. It was fairly quick. Kane won by count out. But then we had, this is just where we talk about overproduced. So Bray's upside down. They have Randy come in with video that's Randy upside down. And then the strangest part was they rotate the camera to Randy going right side up, and they insist upon using some weird fade trippy effect with trails with it to try and be like, oh my God, it's going right side up.
Yeah, how is any grown man supposed to get scared by that or intimidated? It's like so they turned the camera around and add an effect.
Yeah, that's the big twist, man. Literally. Let's get this out of the way. They had the chasing backstage. Bray finds a rocking chair, and then Randy essentially locks Bray in what looks like a storage unit. Where we then cut to video throughout the night, seeing that apparently all it takes is about 30 minutes for Bray to go insane and start seeing Sister Abigail, and then escaping at the end.
Yeah, it would have been hilarious if they just had it where Bray was doing one of his regular promos and Randy Orton came and shut the door from behind and locked him out. That would have been kind of funny and different and kind of into his creepy charisma, and it's realistic. Mm-hmm. This other stuff, it's, a lot of people like it. A lot of people, if that's your thing, it's just not my thing. I prefer the more reality based stuff.
I mean, aside from his almost face turn or his veering towards his face turn before he got injured with Bray, has there been any character development? I mean, I feel like that's what's sort of missing, is that it's been the same thing since day one on NXT,
Yeah, I mean Bray. I just feel like Bray has been stagnant for a while. You
Yeah.
know, when he came on the main roster, I thought he was awesome. He was one of my favorite characters to watch every week. And now his promos, I just tune out as soon as he starts talking. It's just kind of same stuff. Nothing really there that you can relate to. So I just tune out. I think, like I said last week, I think he just needs a change of scenery, needs a face turn, and something different. And they were about to pull the plug on that a few months ago before he got injured, and I hope they get on that again.
So we had after that segment, and I think that's all we need to talk about, the Bray Randy build up to No Mercy. We had probably the feud that if maybe it's possible to care about matchup less that was teased from the start of the show. Baron Corbin versus Jack Swagger. You pumped about all the build up they did for this last night?
Well, at least it gives them something. This is you got to have your filler matches, and they're trying something different. I thought that finish that they had in their match was kind of creative.
With the tap out,
right?
Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little later. So yeah, that was teased, but the first real action after that, after the Kane Bray match, and then after that promo, we had the women's action, the first women's action of the evening with Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Bella. And what I thought was interesting about this is it was a little predictable. I mean, Carmella was on commentary. Carmella, of course, gets involved with the match. Becky comes out and gets involved with the match. And then over the break, it was turned into a tag match. I mean, we've talked about this before, sort of the WWE booking generator of how they do a feud, and how they do these matchups again and again. Becky was pinned by Alexa Bliss, so by the Raj Giri booking algorithm, that means that Becky will be retaining at No Mercy on Sunday. What did you think of the match itself?
The match itself was fine. I think it would have been better to just keep it Alexa Bliss and Nikki Bella, have them have a longer match and have Alexa beat Nikki. You can do interference from Carmella. You break out of your normal formula of, the challenger pinning the champion and the champion getting their win back. But I thought it was fine.
Yeah, no, it was solid. And they did make it official during last night's episode that we will have Carmella versus Nikki Bella Sunday at No Mercy. Not a no DQ match, which again Daniel Bryan was pushing for on Talking Smack last night. So no special stipulation, but I think it'll be good. I think it feels like there's been so much with the interference and the pre-match attacks. So actually, I think it'll be refreshing to see them just wrestle a complete match, provided that there's no shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely.
After that we had Alexa again saying she's coming for the title, but so we had a different version of what we saw on Monday Night Raw last night, which was the More Than Pink campaign for the Susan G. Komen Foundation. This time with Daniel Bryan. Now, Raj, I know we talked about, Enzo and Cass doing that segment on Monday, and I don't know that it was awkward. I mean, Matt Morgan said that it was, sort of misusing Enzo and Cass by putting them in that situation, perhaps, danger of making them a little less cool by doing it. But with Daniel, I thought that's exactly what these segments should be.
Absolutely. I thought he fit perfect for it. Again, I'm not a big fan of people really over the top tooting their own horn for charity, but it is a good cause. And Daniel Bryan was perfect for that role. He seemed very sincere. He's got that. He's just the guy for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I thought it was nice. He seemed a little, you could tell he was moved. He seemed a little choked up at one point. I thought he did a nice job with it, and it works for this campaign. I mean, and with the WWE, I know that they said for years, like, oh, we don't really tout our charity work. But now, obviously, it's done a complete 180. But I think, these awareness segments, I think if they can make people feel inspired, and I mean, not to be cynical, but if they cannot bore people with them and give them that little sort of uplifting moment, I think that's the best we can hope for in the merging of entertainment with philanthropy.
Yeah, and they do and they don't as far as touting their charity work. Like all these appearances that John Cena makes, they don't really advertise those, or they'll put photos here and there. But these big campaigns like Komen, they've been doing every year for a while now. So for the bigger campaigns, they definitely toot their own horn.
Do you think when word got out about John Cena and the Make-A-Wish record, that was sort of the beginning of the turnaround for fans on him a couple of years ago? where you started to see people sort of coming back to realizing like, okay, even though John Cena is sort of predictably booked and you have the Superman problem, like he's legitimately like a really good guy.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's that or just he's just gotten respect for being there for so long. I mean, he still gets loud boos, but it's not as hateful, as it used to be.
Because he's in on the joke now. So it's like, even if you love John Cena, I think you're singing John Cena sucks.
Yeah, or it could just be that fans are just tired of hating him, and some of that has subsided to Roman Reigns.
So yeah, that's true. Roman's like a hate sponge in that regard, really draws it away. So we had after the Komen segment, the Vaudevillains versus the Hype Bros, and this was interesting in that the Ascension came out at the end, so sort of setting up this feud with the Hype Bros to come. I mean, do you think they're gonna do a substantial secondary tag team storyline here? If we have really, I mean, I feel like the Usos versus American Alpha, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I feel like that is going to be the sort of A storyline. I think like Heath and Rhino, unfortunately, are getting sort of a backseat now. That their career trajectory towards the title, that part has wrapped where they're at the destination. But I mean, do you think there's any there if we're going to have sort of 3 former NXT teams, maybe?
I mean, I think it's just going to be one of those throwaway underneath feuds that it just gives them something to do, but it's not going to really mean much at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely where their head is. It's the Hype Brothers and the Ascension working live events.
Yeah, I gotta say, still, I'm pleasantly surprised seeing that the Hype Bros, that JBL is just putting Mojo so over, and just building them up so much. Because the Hype Bros, I mean, when they were in NXT, didn't they almost seem like a weird afterthought for much of the time there?
Yeah, I mean, JBL built him up, but fans just don't like Mojo Rawley, like he irritates them. And
speaking of the Cena thing, that Breaking Ground segment, I think for the internet wrestling community, Breaking Ground showing Mojo, like talking to the kids and stuff, I think that was the best thing for Mojo's career. Yeah,
or just have them be a heel, annoying tag team, because that's kind of his real personality, and it's something that if you use it right, it could be a good heel act where it's just like meant to annoy you, as opposed to they're meant to be baby faces and they annoy you.
Yeah. See, they're one of those where it's like, do I like the Hype Bros, but maybe I like them ironically? It's like, there's something sort of there. So the Hype Bros won that match against the Vaudevillains. Again, the Ascension's pointed to them. But let's talk about what, in my opinion, was the absolute high point of last night, and that was the segment that we had with The Miz and Maurice with Dolph Ziggler and the Dolphumentary. What'd you make of that, Raj?
I thought it was awesome, but Ziggler, Ric Flair is saying that he's heard that Ziggler's losing and he's going to become an agent. And I forget, he was left standing at the end of that segment, right? Or did Miz take him out?
Someone was kicked out of the ring and then ran off. My only thing was that part felt like it went on a little long compared to the rest of it. So with this, and spoiler for anyone that didn't watch it, 2 members of the Spirit Squad returned. I think who saw that coming?
Yeah, yes. I thought that documentary was great if Ziggler's winning on Sunday, because they buried him something fierce on that.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was hilarious, but
yeah,
if he's on his way out and that's
a send off.
Yeah, I mean, poor guy. But yeah, so Ziggler was left standing. Usual WWE booking means that the Miz is winning, but I just can't. So I will say this: Ziggler is still advertised for SmackDown live events after the pay-per-view. Obviously, card is always subject to change, and he could pull him. I was asking fans on Twitter and in our comment section, can you think of the last time someone put their career on the line? Not in a you're fired type of way, but like I am retiring if I lose this match. I mean, I can think of like Flair and Shawn Michaels, but I can't really think of anything recently.
That doesn't get pulled out that much. I feel like there was a brief period of time where it was, but not so much recently.
Yalissa is saying Michelle McCool, Layla. So in all these instances where they put their career on the line, they lose. Like I can't remember the last time that someone put their career on the line and actually won. Usually that's their way to write them off of TV. So the fact that Ziggler was left standing, and I know we'll get to our No Mercy predictions after a SmackDown review, but it really leads me to believe that Ziggler probably is losing and might be done.
Well, I'm stoked. I will be there for what could be Dolph Ziggler's last match ever.
Yeah, if they did, they gave him a pretty sad send off with how he's been booked these last few weeks. But
he has a good sense of humor, though, and I think it's interesting. Did you watch Talking Smack last night?
I did, and we'll get to that at the end too. But yeah, I think
Dolph was very interesting in how he broke kayfabe and was really referring to his character in the past. I mean, it was strange, right? I don't think I've seen that on any WWE current programming.
Yeah, when they would bring up all his losing, he'd kind of make it a point that, my character loses, or this is entertainment, that's my character, and how the company just craps on him.
Across the country, 10-year-old children all of a sudden had a million questions for their parents about how wrestling works. But yeah, it was interesting. So, but the Dolph you mentioned, look, if you didn't watch SmackDown Live last night, you have to seek this out. You have to seek out this segment. It was so well edited. It was great that it was satire more than parody, that they treated it very earnestly, but showed sort of all the lowlights of Dolph Ziggler's career. And we talked about this last week with what they did with The Miz. We talked about what they did on Raw with the Sasha Charlotte promo. WWE is just killing it in the video packages lately and doing these little retrospective packages.
Yeah, I watched that again. It was hilarious. You think WWE might bring back Ken Doane? I mean, the dude still looked in great shape. He's got the height. He's got that kind of look that they look for. I could easily see them bringing him back.
I think the Spirit Squad would be pretty over right now.
Was that Mickey or Mitch? It was.
I think it was. Actually, I don't get the M's confused.
Yeah, but he didn't look in the best of shape, so I'm not sure if they bring him back. But Ken Doane, I could. I mean, I don't think they should bring him back as a member of the Spirit Squad, but the dude. When they originally started the Spirit Squad, it was to make Ken Doane a star, and he was the one that was supposed to break out and become the single star, and so. He was the one that they were originally looking at. So I could see them bringing him back.
Yeah, I thought it was great last night. I mean, I love just those references to sort of, the less memorable WWE gimmicks that have existed over the years. And I think that's where SmackDown, that's the beauty of SmackDown, is it's becoming the more hardcore fan show, more nods to continuity. I mean, The Miz was doing it last week, referencing, all the stuff he'd been through, more sort of obscure aspects of his career. And I think that's always welcome.
Quick, I will say this too. I am looking forward to this way more than I am Orton versus Wyatt. Probably actually more than anything on the show. I mean, it's up there with the main event. So Miz and Ziggler have just done a tremendous job with this. It's been a great storyline. I think this has been great.
That backlash
Miz has really revitalized his career, over the last since Maurice has come back.
No, The Miz has been having an amazing year, and that backlash match that they had was just fantastic. I think that was like The Miz's highest rated match online in perhaps ever.
Yeah, in the ring, he's fine.
Yeah, but come on, it was cool how he was doing a completely different style. He was pulling it off. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to Sunday. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do.
Yeah, Miz sometimes to me, when he tries something new, a lot of times it looks like a guy imitating wrestling moves. He's trying, but it doesn't look authentic. Like when he does Daniel Bryan's kicks or things like that, he looks like if you're practicing the backyard and trying to do these moves that you see on TV, but you're trying not to make them hurt. But that's not saying he's been bad in the ring. I think he's been, better than usual, but outside the ring, I think he's been just fantastic.
No, absolutely killing him on the mic. We could certainly agree on that. So we're going to talk about Jey Uso versus Jason Jordan in a second, but I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of the Wrestling Inc. podcast, DDP Yoga. So you've heard us talk about it before. DDP Yoga has changed countless lives. So many of the current past roster have benefited immensely from it. We're talking guys like Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Chris Jericho, Mick Foley, Gold Dust, all swear by DDP Yoga, and now they've taken it to another level with the DDP Yoga Now app on iOS and Android devices. So you've got no excuse, because you can have DDP Yoga with you everywhere you go. And the cool thing about their app is that you can track your workouts. You can also connect it to a Bluetooth heart rate monitor, so you can track your calories and your heart rate in real time if you're on your DDP Yoga mat, if you're at the gym, or even while you're out mowing the lawn. All the fitness tracking features, pain tracking, measurements, progress photos, and more are completely free in the new DDP Yoga Now app. And DDP Yoga Now subscribers, you're not going to get tired of doing the same workouts over and over again, because they've added completely new DDP Yoga 2.0 workouts, weekly live workouts straight from the DDP Yoga Performance Center. And every Monday, you're going to get motivational messages from DDP himself. DDP even hosts his own cooking show on the app, and he'll show you how to make healthy food taste amazing. For a limited time, you can get the DDP Yoga the DDP Yoga DVDs for 15% off, plus 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. Head on over to ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. Stop procrastinating. Get started now with DDP Yoga. That's ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. And we thank them for sponsoring the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at Raw or SmackDown, the proof is right there. You see AJ Styles, Chris Jericho. Just look at Mick Foley. Look at how Mick Foley looked a couple years ago, and look at him now. And that's all DDP Yoga. So definitely check out ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. And definitely, you try it out, and if you're loving it, let DDP give them a tweet, let them know that Wrestling Inc. sent you.
Yeah, man. We talk about change turnaround. Look at Goldust. Look at Dustin Runnels back when he was in TNA versus now. He claims he's in the best shape of his life, and credits DDP Yoga for that. So we had last night continuation of the American Alpha Usos feud with Jey Uso versus Jason Jordan. And did this work for you as sort of a placeholder, given that American Alpha is not competing at No Mercy?
Yeah, I guess. It builds to. It's clear that they're probably going to move on from Rhino and Heath Slater after the Usos win the title. Like, they're not going to stick with Slater and Rhino versus the Usos. So this was kind of the way to do it, to kind of plant that in there, that American Alpha is next.
And look, it makes sense. I love what they've done with Rhino and Slater, but I think everyone predicted from day one that American Alpha should be the SmackDown Tag Champions.
And I just feel like Rhino and Slater is kind of running its course.
Because they didn't give anything else. I feel like the joke was I feel like they stumbled into that storyline. Vince, or whoever in creative picked up on a joke aspect they liked of it, with the double wide, the kids, sort of the white trash hillbilly thing. And I feel like they didn't really think about it sort of beyond that.
Yeah. And they didn't. And this was the problem with Damien Sandow and The Miz, is they don't know how to continue it once you get there. Once Slater and Rhino won the tag titles, they didn't have something creative for them afterwards other than just to be tag champions.
But the good news is they lose, one turns on the other, and then at least maybe we have a storyline.
Yeah, but then I can't see Slater versus Rhino being higher on the card than Jack Swagger versus Baron Corbin.
But it'll be more entertaining. I'll be more invested emotionally.
Maybe,
and that counts for something.
Yeah.
So Jason Jordan won that match, of course.
Real quick, I just brought up Damien Sandow.
Oh yeah.
Who do you think did a better job with Damien Sandow? WWE with Sandow after the Miz breakup, after the Miz feud, or TNA is doing it with him right now?
Well, TNA, it seems like he won a belt, right?
He did, but he has like all the stuff he was known for in WWE, his charisma and everything has just been like sucked away. He's like such a flat character there now.
Well, and I think that's the thing. So I was really excited when TNA picked him up, and I watched that first promo, and then it was like, okay. So he's like, he's angry, or defiant, I think is maybe more sort of the vibe they were going for with it. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know that this is I don't know how far this is going to carry us,
Yeah, I think he's got a title, but you just look at the fan response to him when he first came in to now. I think WWE had the right idea with him as far as using him for comedy. I think they could have done more with him for sure. And he shouldn't have been cut, but anyone that criticized him, and actually, I don't think people criticize WWE for using him for comedy, but just not using him enough, which is fair.
And he didn't seem unhappy with that. I mean, if you listen to his interview with Chris Jericho on Jericho's podcast, I mean, Sandow seemed like he was game for whatever they wanted to do.
Hulk Hogan screwed him over. You know,
seriously, had that not happened, although that gimmick he wanted to do with Curtis Axel, well, I can't remember what the name was, but where they wanted to do sort of the late 80s, wearing the zebra print pants, the bodybuilders with the mullets. I thought that
the Meta Powers. I thought that was entertaining, and then it was cut short after Hulk Hogan's racist tirade was made public.
And Hulk Hogan ruins everything. So yeah, I think with Sandow, it's unfortunate. Really unfortunate. We'll talk about this later in the show. If TNA folds, man, I feel bad for Sandow and Cody Rhodes. At this point, given the career decisions they've made. I think I don't know. I don't know if it's connecting on TNA the way that people sort of anticipated Sandow getting a push would. So we had Jack Swagger versus Baron Corbin. I think the most notable thing about this match was what you said, the ending of it, with Jack Swagger winning. We had Corbin going for the ropes in a submission hold, and his reach for the ropes looked like a tap, so it was counted as a tap out. I feel like I haven't seen that used in a while. What did you think of that for the ending?
Yeah, I liked it. It was something different. I'm not looking forward to these matches, but I thought that was good. And again, it gives these guys something to do. Baron Corbin, I thought working with Dolph Ziggler, he'd improve a lot. He hasn't shown much improvement since he's been on the main roster. Granted, it's only been since April, but I feel like they should put him in with workers that he can get better in the ring with. And Jack Swagger, I don't think is that guy.
Well, it's funny. We were talking earlier about, sort of the lack of evolution with Bray. I think there's been zero evolution with Baron, and I actually think there was an opportunity there. I mean, I know his idea is that, he doesn't care, he's the lone wolf. But I feel like with this character winning the Andre Battle Royal, I feel like they could have done something on the main roster, either taken him back in the direction he was in NXT for a while, of having him be sort of the indie killer that's going, taking out the indie guys and, giving them crap for their career choices as opposed to his. Or they could have done something different where now he's on the main show and maybe, I don't know. I mean, they could have even turned him face. I mean, in sort of an anti-hero sort of way, but I feel like to just have him sort of be an ass, I don't know. Because it comes across as bullying, like what was doing with, what was it with Kalisto,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like he could almost be, I mean, it kind of goes against his character, but he could probably benefit from being in a tag team to get more experience and then, get out in a singles run. But again, that would be against his lone wolf character.
Yeah. He's into some creepy stuff. Put him with Bray, I think that would work pretty well, actually. But I don't know. So what was interesting after that match is that there was no real main event. We had an in-ring promo. I'm assuming, and you'll know this, I'm sure Wrestling Inc. has it online. I mean, was there a dark match after the show? Because that seemed like a weird way to end it if I was there live, to have AJ, Cena, and Ambrose in the ring just talking trash to each other, and then a spear to end it, Yeah. I mean, they actually did the main event tapings after SmackDown because they're on the West Coast. Oh, gotcha.
And then after that, they had, I think it was Randy Orton against Bray Wyatt was the dark match. And let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was definitely Randy Orton. It was Randy Orton defeating Bray Wyatt after an RKO. So there was still an hour to go after SmackDown was over for the live crowd.
Gotcha. Because so what did you think about that? I didn't know if I would enjoy it that much at first, but I really liked how we had Ambrose and AJ just sort of getting up in Cena's face, talking trash, and Cena just silent with it. As it went on, I liked it more and more.
Exactly. I thought that was great. Sometimes that's more effective than having to have a comeback. I think the stuff with Ambrose and Cena, the stuff that they've been doing on Talking Smack, has just been great. And Styles has been awesome. I think Talking Smack has the best WWE promos of any WWE show each week, because you could tell that it's not scripted verbatim. that they're kind of told what to say and then given freedom. And I almost feel like that should be like the barometer. You put them on these pre-shows or talking smack, and if they can cut a great promo that's realistic and resonates, then let them do that on live TV. If they suck, then make them stick to scripted promos and get more experience.
Yeah, it's really incredible, compared to every other aspect of WWE programming, just how it's like you're watching a workshop with some of the younger talents, and with the more experienced guys, it's just fantastic to just see what they do with it. So last night, pivoting to talking smack. So again, Cena just, speared, I think it was Dean at the end, and then show was over. So we went to talking smack, and we had Dolph come out. So I mean, interesting notes, the beats of talking smack. One, I love that that Daniel Bryan sort of broke, it went a little meta with it and was like talking about producer notes, like, oh, we're not allowed to talk politics. We've had that in our earpiece. Like, we can't say that. I like that he's getting a little loose with it, to where you feel like Daniel at any moment could go off and just start shooting, and just say something he's not supposed to say.
Well, I think of anyone of all the commentators and the people on the pre-shows, Daniel Bryan is the one that feels the most authentic. Like you feel like he's not just saying the company line or what he's supposed to say. And, obviously he has to at some point to keep the storylines going. But he just comes across as authentic, and you don't feel like you're being worked, I guess is a good word, when you're listening to him.
With that documentary thing that he did.
I think he was obviously joking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it meant like it was so bad that he no longer wants to be associated with it, or but I think he's definitely, obviously, you could, with his facial expressions, he was playing around.
Yeah. So we had that. We had Dolph come out, as we mentioned earlier. So Dolph, completely broke kayfabe, broke character, and was talking about how, he wasn't a loser, but his character lost, or his character was a loser at certain points in his career. I thought that was, just fascinating to see a current wrestler talking about that element of their character development.
Yeah, they, I thought it was great. He kept kayfabe a little bit, talking about No Mercy but I thought, again, Ziggler can go. You give him talking points, and the guy is great on the mic. I thought this was really good. He talked about being crapped on, literally. Well, kind of literally. It wasn't real crap, but they did. I remember the one angle where they dumped crap on the Spirit Squad. I can't remember a second, because he said he's been crapped on a couple times.
They showed it in the clip.
What was the other time?
I don't remember what it was, but they showed it in the clip. I think there was a briefcase in the ring, so it might have been around Money in the Bank.
Okay. I thought this was good. He talked about Edge being one of his all-time.
Really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Great stuff from Ziggler. I kind of think he might be losing, but we'll see.
Well, I could see them having him lose it, but keeping him on TV. Sort of a la corporate Kane, having Ziggler maybe shift to a backstage position. And then maybe the storyline is that, The Miz has to work with him. Maybe he's the Miz's road agent, something like that, where then they just build it up to an in-ring return down the line. But with Dolph, that's the thing. I think Dolph can wrestle, and Dolph can perform in the ring, but Dolph has acted. Now, granted, it was in a WWE Studios film, but I think Dolph could let me put it this way. Dolph on camera is more compelling than 75% of the roster is outside of the ring.
Yeah, he's just been around for so long. He just needs something new. Turn him heel. Do something, put him with, I don't know, not Heyman, but, something that freshens him up. Look at how well it did with Miz having Maurice.
Oh, definitely.
But again, if that's it, I could, he's wrestled a hard style, like taken a lot of crazy bumps over the years. So maybe just feels like his career is going nowhere, and it's probably better to work. Ric Flair is saying that Ziggler's been offered a backstage role. Now, Ric Flair also said he slept with Halle Berry. So, you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Ric Flair may or may not be sober.
Yeah. But if that is the case, maybe, sometimes being in the ring forever is not the best thing, and it's better to know when you call it quits, even though you can still go.
But the question is, even if it's a career-ending match, will the Colonel still show up to defeat the Chicken the next time KFC sponsors the show?
Well, the Colonel is not retiring, so.
But I loved Miz calling out though, like, you're not going to show up in a mask, you know, right. Like all the different tricks they've used in the past.
And that's what Ziggler made it clear to say. Like, there is no, you know, I'm not going back to Raw. This is, if he loses, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Vince is really going to buy TNA, and then Ziggler shows up on Impact, and it's just like, oh my God, mind blown, you know?
They're not going to keep TNA alive if they buy it. A couple of people are saying that Triple H put his career on the line at WrestleMania 29 against Lesnar. Do you remember that? I remember him coming out of retirement. I forget. Maybe he did. They didn't make it a big selling point of that match if he did.
You know, and I think it's interesting for the stakes of it. Yeah, because this isn't Ric Flair. This isn't someone who's past their prime. I mean, Ziggler is entering the later phase of his career, but it's not like there's any, you know, reason why he needs to get out of this business.
Right.
You know, so let's talk about No Mercy a bit. Although I do want to say one last note on Talking Smack. I loved how it ended with AJ Styles just ranting and then just bam, end of show. No, like, thanks for watching, whatever. I thought that was the best way they've ended Talking Smack so far.
Well, outside of that time with the Miz and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, AJ Styles was great, unscripted. I mean, talking points, but you could tell like they knew when he was done, that was when to go off. Like that was where he was supposed to finish his promo. But yeah, I thought he was. You know what I thought was great? Styles is bringing up all these points to Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan had no answer. He's like, why is John Cena in this match at No Mercy when I beat him? And, you know, what did he do to earn being in that match? And Bryan had no good answer. And then he asked why Ziggler wasn't taken out of the match when he beat him cleanly. And, you know, Bryan didn't have much of a good answer for that either.
Well, I don't think he could without breaking kayfabe of like, look, AJ, ratings are down sort of across the board since we did this brand split. You know, people weren't really buying a pay-per-view to see you and Dean. So we need to sell some tickets. Yeah.
You can't say he's going to add a lot because it'll do better business. But you know, still, I thought that was great. Did you notice Dolph in his interview kind of took a shot at Triple H's chosen ones? I don't know if you noticed that.
Honestly, it's a bit of a blur because I watched it so late last night.
He said he would hate being like one of those guys that gets signed and takes their picture and, you know, and you know, is promised the belt. And, you know, it's clear he's taking a shot at like a lot of these guys that come in, like, you know, Kevin Owens and that are doing the too sweet sign with Triple H. And I think he was taking a shot at that.
Well, and Dolph is interesting. I mean, Dolph and The Miz, right? I mean, they're the old guard at this point. You know, I know we don't think of them the way that we think of, you know, sort of veterans in this business, but compare them to all. I mean, there's a real clear division right now on the main roster. There's, you know, what was it? Someone tallied it up online. Isn't it like almost 60% have spent time in NXT and come up through that system compared to the guys that were in OVW or FCW?
Well, here's the thing. How many people have come up from NXT and how many people were already great wrestlers that went to NXT and then the main roster? There's a difference between like Bray Wyatt or Charlotte.
Definitely.
And Kevin Owens and Nakamura, you know, and the most, you know, the most over guys, I think, I don't know. More often than not, it's the guys that work the indies in Japan and stuff before going to NXT, as opposed to just straight homegrown NXT talents.
But the difference, though, through NXT, and I think that's what Dolph was getting at with Triple H, is that you've got that extra advocate for you. I mean, obviously Vince signed off on you if you're on the main roster, but you've also got Triple H who's in your corner, who's advocating for you, and the OVW guys don't have that.
Sure.
And whoever brought them up, that's not Vince. I mean, Pat Patterson isn't there now, still putting a bug in Vince's ear to advocate for you. You know? Absolutely.
I don't think Kevin Owens would be where he is right now if it weren't for Triple H. Yeah. If it was strictly Vince, I don't even know if he'd be on the main roster.
Yeah. So Dolph, I mean, in some ways, Dolph and The Miz both. I mean, credit to them for, not being A-list guys, but still, I mean, I'll go as far as to say thriving in the current environment. They're getting storylines. They're getting storylines that people get invested in and be given that TV time to tell that story each week. So that's great. So let's look at the card for No Mercy. It looks a little thin. But we had this problem with Backlash. I mean, so with this, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 matches again. Provided that there's no unexpected or unforeseen injury. This should go off without a hitch. So Nikki Bella versus Carmella. Do you think Nikki's going over with Total Bellas launching this week?
I could see them doing that just because Carmella has been getting the better of her every week and leaving her lane. So I could see them having Nikki win, gets attacked, and they keep the feud going until the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I think that'd be good. Carmella, man, and it's not that I don't want to say like be one of those guys that's like, oh, Carmella needs work. But no, I think what it is that Carmella in NXT was doing pretty good. I mean, not just in the ring, but also in her role with Enzo and Cass. I thought her segments there were very good. I thought her segments with Bayley, even though it was a new take on it, was going okay. But I feel like Carmella as a character on her own hasn't really clicked on SmackDown, and they've been trying these different things. I don't know if you noticed last night on commentary, her accent now is much more enunciated and on display. But I feel like she just got to kind of get that little extra part to make it click,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think the match will be good. So we got the women's championship, Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss. You think Becky retains?
Yeah. I think it's too soon. Use their formula. Alexa pin Becky. Becky's getting the win here. You said you thought Nikki and Carmella is going to be a good match.
No, I think that it has the potential to be a good match.
No,
I think
Daniel Bryan actually said on Talking Smack that he thinks that might beat Becky versus Alexa.
Look, I think that some of the moments we've seen with it, going more aggressive with it in the way they've had Carmella attack Nikki. Now, granted, huge danger if they decide to go with that style, but I mean, outside of Nia Jax, you don't see that level of sort of aggressiveness in most of the women's matches.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I could be wrong, but hey, I'm gonna be there. I had to pay like $220 to get a ticket to this damn thing. I sure as hell better be excited about all 6 of these matches. That's what I'm saying. And that pay-per-view in Sacramento like almost sold out, which is surprising, giving Backlash. I guess they were just giving away tickets at the end.
Nice. That's good to hear.
Yeah. But Becky versus Alexa, I think my only thing that makes me say Alexa could get this is that it really feels like, and granted she's the number 1 contender, so they have to push her, but it really feels like they've been pushing her at the expense of Becky a little bit. They've been letting Becky coast.
I think it's way too soon to do a title change. And if you were going to do that, you should have had Alexa win the title to begin with.
Yeah.
I think Becky wins, and outside of maybe Miz and Ziggler, I don't see any of these feuds ending at this pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, because now we've got to do a pay-per-view a month. So what are they going to do if they wrap up the feuds too soon?
Well, I think this is it until Survivor Series, which is and that's a co-branded pay-per-view. So a lot of these matches won't be at Survivor Series. There'll be a couple here. I think probably four or five. I guess if we got a six match card, so I guess that's still most of them.
Yeah, that'll be interesting seeing how they go back to doing co-branded after this hard brand split. But
they got to be careful with that, because one of the things that killed the brand split last time is making it clear that SmackDown was the B show. And at the end, the last several years, it was always the Raw match that was the featured match, and the Raw title was the real world title. And then fans started looking at SmackDown as the B show. Ratings for SmackDown fell, and it led to them combining it and getting rid of the 2 brands, basically the split brands.
I'm looking at this schedule. Is TLC really being given a SmackDown designation?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. You think we'll see the first women's ladder match?
Well, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, if it was Charlotte and Sasha, I could, but I just don't know. Who's really good enough to pull it off? I mean, you got Natalya, and that's and Becky Lynch, but they've just done that so many times that I don't see them doing that. But yeah, I mean, if you look at, stipulation pay-per-views, I think Hell in a Cell is a much more exciting stip, and that's going to Raw. So, then SmackDown gets TLC.
And why don't they put every match in the cell? I mean, the pay-per-view is called
that would be overkill. I'm glad I think there should only be one. Just whatever the hottest feud is, that should be it.
I think whatever the theme of the pay-per-view is, that should be every match. TLC, every match should have tables, ladders,
after 2 hours of table and ladder spots, you think you're going to care in the main event?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm telling you, Money in the Bank. There should be a briefcase in every match on the card that night.
Absolutely not.
It's weird that the WWE would show restraint in one area where they don't in every single other one. But back to No Mercy. So Slater and Rhino versus the Usos. You think the Usos get it?
I do.
Yeah. Slater and Rhino. And it's just because they've completely stalled since winning the belts. I know earlier when we talked about it a few weeks ago, you said you could see them keeping the belts on them for another cycle. But yeah, I think they've done nothing with Rhino and Slater. And it's clear that American Alpha versus the Usos is what they want to do. Right. So with Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz for the IC championship, do you think Ziggler wins it, or do you think this is it?
Man, this is tough. My gut tells me Ziggler. But man, I don't know. It's a tough one. The way it's been built, it seems clear that it would be Ziggler, but just with these stories and what Flair is saying, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna go with The Miz.
See, I think Ziggler, just because again they dropped the ball with The Miz after that Talking Smack preview. Like they folded that trajectory into this, and The Miz is still doing great work, but this isn't the storyline that we thought we were getting a month ago, where it was The Miz versus Daniel Bryan and The Miz.
Well, they couldn't do that.
I know. Yeah. But they didn't have Daniel like pick a wrestler. They didn't keep that trajectory going of The Miz not getting respected. It's like they shifted the focus of this. Sorry, didn't want to use like political terminology, but it seemed like coming out of that Talking Smack promo, the storyline was going to be a referendum on The Miz, and it's turned into a referendum on Dolph Ziggler. Like now this is about Ziggler's career, not about The Miz and his never-ending reign as the IC championship.
Yeah. I mean, with Daniel Bryan, they gave something that they just didn't know where to go with, which happens all the time.
They get lightning.
It's very rare that they could do something really interesting and follow up well over the next several months.
How much of fandom do you think with the WWE? What percentage would you put it at? That fandom is what's actually happening? Like, is your excitement about what's actually happening, and what percentage is about your excitement about where it could go based on the tease?
When I get really interested, it's where it could go. What's actually happening? The Miz and Dolph Ziggler, I'm interested, but it's not like I'm thinking about it outside of, like when I'm out to dinner. But
so maybe 60-40 in favor of possibility being the more exciting thing.
I'd say almost 100. It's rare that I'm super interested in something that's been just a regular storyline for a long time. I mean, it's probably since Daniel Bryan going for the title at WrestleMania 30.
That's WWE TV fandom in a nutshell. It's like, I'm tuning in because something really cool could happen. Oh, nothing really cool happened. God damn it. Well, I'll tune in next week because something really cool could happen then. Yeah.
And after No Mercy, let's talk a little bit about Goldberg and then also take some of these reader questions.
Of course. So just wrapping up No Mercy, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt. Who do you like?
I think Orton, but I think this feud's going to continue.
Yes, I think we all lose, no matter who wins. And Styles, Cena, Ambrose. Who's your prediction for who walks out as champ?
I think it's Cena. I think Cena wins it, and I think Cena's scheduled for SmackDown next week, and then is off until Survivor Series. So I think Cena wins it here. They do an angle next week, builds to a return match at Survivor Series with either Cena. I think it's going to be Cena and AJ at Survivor Series. But yeah, you could easily do Cena and Ambrose as well.
Yeah. I think,
actually, no, it's got to be Cena and AJ. Sorry.
I think Styles retains. I just don't. I mean, again, I could be surprised. I just don't see how exciting it is to have Cena off TV with the belt. And I know they've done that before, but I think right now, given how tense things are with the ratings from week to week in football, I don't know. I mean, but who knows? The WWE could find a way to make that really interesting. But I think Styles retains at No Mercy. So let's talk about what's the latest with TNA, and then we'll get to some reader questions.
TNA, nothing really.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Just
the lights are still on.
They got their tapings going. Should take them through November, maybe December. But they've got to figure out something by then. Well, who knows? Actually, who maybe they get another, someone to fund at the last minute for their next set of tapings, and this continues. But for the good of the company, Dixie's talked about. They had a meeting after Monday's tapings, and Dixie talked about, she admitted that WWE was interested, but she wasn't going to sell to them. And she said that but there was something else. Nothing really of note, just that that there are complications with the people that want to buy, over who gets control. So that's something that needs to be ironed out. And, if Dixie hadn't sold portions to a bunch of different companies, we probably wouldn't be in that mess. But yeah. I guess she had to in order to keep the tapings going too.
That makes sense. So what's going on with Goldberg, man? I mean, is this real, or are they just promoting a video game right now?
It's sounding like it's real. I don't know. Goldberg is claiming that he had double knee surgery recently. I remember during SummerSlam week he was talking about going for knee surgery, but I don't know. Dave Meltzer is reporting that seems very close to happening. He's heard from a couple sources that'll be at the Survivor Series. Jim Ross also saying the same thing, that it's a go for Survivor Series. To me, it just seems like that's very soon for a guy who hasn't wrestled in over a decade.
You just gotta come out and hit the spear, man. I mean, come on.
You could do that to build an angle for a match at like Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. I mean, he's obviously been staying in shape. But is he in ring shape, and can he get in ring shape in a month? Maybe Rock did it, but Rock wasn't 49 years old. So we'll see. Tonight, Goldberg's going to be on ESPN. We'll be reporting on it, on the site, and that should make things much clearer.
I tell you, this is what you do. Goldberg versus Braun Strowman right there. Bam. Really? Braun thinks he's getting serious competition. Goldberg comes out and squashes him, and then that whole chapter is over. We're done with the whole Braun Strowman thing. But are you excited about 2K17? I mean, they're promoting the hell out of it. They finally took Alberto Del Rio out of the commercial that they're showing now.
Did they? I thought he was still in there.
No, not the one they were showing on Wrestling this week. They did this weird, awkward cut to the scene of him sitting at the bar. If you knew that it was there before, it's very obvious now.
Yeah, so Del Rio is there sitting at the bar, right?
Yeah, but they cut it out in the version they're showing.
I could have sworn I saw it on Monday. I didn't pay attention to it last night, but
yeah.
Regardless, no, I haven't been a gamer since like Super Nintendo.
Yeah, the commercial this year might be better than the game. I don't know.
The commercials are awesome. I mean, they're amazing.
I played a lot of 2K16 last year, and really enjoyed it. Warts and all, bugs and all, but I don't know. I'll spend a day or two with it. I'm sure I'll talk about it on the podcast when it comes out next week. So what do we got in questions? What do we got?
All right, we'll get to some of these here. Let's see. Anthony Cruz feels like Raw and SmackDown are like two different shows. Who's running it? Which brand? And it's Vince McMahon running both. I think the reason why SmackDown feels better every week is just because it is 2 hours. That makes a huge difference. I think Raw would feel much better if it was 2 hours. Plus, I think Stephanie and Mick, them as GM isn't as entertaining, I guess, as Daniel Bryan, as palatable, I guess, as Daniel Bryan is. And
Shane's been MIA for a while now.
Right. Yeah. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It makes when he is on camera mean more. You really don't need both people on TV each and every week. I mean, it really should be like the real head, Stephanie or Shane, is only there for major reasons, and then kind of leave it up to the general manager to run the show.
Yeah. Do you think, speaking of those lines, I mean, do you think this is the last we've seen of Vince for a while since his last appearance announcing the brand split? He was off TV for a while before that.
Yeah, I mean, he comes and goes.
Yeah.
Well, we got to keep an eye on ratings. They were back up this week to 2.78 million, I think, viewers. Still under 3 million, which a year ago people would have said that was a disaster. There's no way Raw is going to be averaging under 3 million, and here we are. I don't think there's been an hour that's been over 3 million since football started. And Vince usually comes back when ratings are kind of pretty bad. So they're creeping back up. We'll see where they are over the next few weeks, but I could easily see Vince coming back. I don't think it's in the plans right now.
In the comments, sarcastic Mr. Fox is asking, is Tyson Kidd done? Now I know, he's not talked about much, but he's not coming back from that injury.
I don't think so. If they're not letting Daniel Bryan come back, Tyson Kidd's injury was way more serious. And, he shared that photo the other day, and, he talks about he's getting better every day. So it's clear he's not even close to 100%. So unfortunately, I think I don't see him coming back. I'd love to see him come back, but I don't see it happening.
But what about behind the scenes role? I mean, do you think there'll be something for him there?
Yeah, I'm sure whatever he wants to do, WWE would love to have him as a coach or, as an agent, or try him out as an agent or something. So it's just, I think you got to wait for him to fully recover, see where he's at. And, WWE, they just re-signed his contract not too long ago. So
yeah,
he's with the company, for the long term.
Yeah. And they've been pretty good. I mean, guys that get those sort of serious injuries, I mean, I can't remember the last time there was because there would be being a publicly traded company, it'd be a huge outrage if they cut somebody that had a career-ending injury like that.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else in the questions?
See. What do you do with a guy like Braun Strowman next?
Goldberg.
No, I mean, the traditional way of building is you give them jobbers, then you kind of give them people lower on the totem pole. So I think someone like a Darren Young, he hasn't been on TV lately. You have him and, kind of build that for a month or two. I mean, I don't know how long you could go with it, but have that be the next thing for Braun, and then you go up from there.
Yeah. There's got to be something, man. I mean, it's just but they did that last week, right? I mean, Braun now saying, give me real competition.
Yeah.
Let's have something. So it's F or walk at this point.
I think it'll be Darren Young.
Forget Darren Young, Bob Backlund. Let's get Backlund out there wrestling Braun. That I'd pay to see.
Right.
Take the shirt off, leave the suspenders on. That's a pre-show main event, if there is such a thing.
All right. Omar is asking, do you think Samoa Joe will get bumped up? He should. All these guys, I mean, it's like we've said before, with ratings where they are right now and the talent depth seeming so shallow, forget about keeping NXT hot right now. It can go through a little bit of a lull. Bring up Samoa Joe, Nakamura, Austin Aries would bring a spark to the cruiserweight division. I wouldn't do it just yet. Get the cruiserweight a little more well-known, let the guys in it get a little well-known, and then have Austin Aries come in, be their top guy, move Neville to the cruiserweight division. But there's no reason why Rude, Nakamura, Samoa Joe, and even the Revival, Ty Dillinger, I think all those guys should be are ready for the main roster and would make a difference.
Yeah.
And just keeping them on NXT or keeping them susceptible to injuries. And each Daniel Bryan said it, like each bump, takes a little bit off your career, and that's what you're doing, keeping them in NXT.
Was it? I can't remember if it was Meltzer or I saw the story going around this week that NXT right now for the first time in a long time is outside of the top 10 most things watched on the network. Like the viewership, based on that data is down. And I think that if they rate it anymore, I mean, I just don't know how it survives after they've just, really established it as its own thing.
Well, that's a network show, but
it's not the top priority. It's not like USA money that they got to worry about,
Right. I mean, what it's supposed to be is getting guys ready, not for guys that are already ready. So, you Ty Dillinger, you don't need to move him up to the main roster yet. You could have him start being in the main event area. You got Eric Young. I mean, there's lots of guys. So, NXT definitely has lost some of its buzz, but that shouldn't be their main focus anyway. It should be developmental, and they're drawing, 200-300 people on their weekend shows. So you got to keep it in perspective.
Well, what'd you make of the news? Kind of funny in that sort of, this is how the universe works sort of way, that a year to the day almost after showing up at the Performance Center, Tough Enough winner Sarah Lee was dropped by NXT.
Well, I mean, I hope it's that she requested her release because she's pregnant, and decided that she doesn't care anymore. Because releasing someone right after they find out they're pregnant, they've done it before. I mean, Dawn Marie had sued the company over it, but yeah, I hope she requested her release.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Vince would see a huge angle in that. We have, she's pregnant. She's got to work really careful because of that.
I don't see that. Let's see. Will Miz beat Honky's IC title reign? Nope. Cruiserweights need to be moved to SmackDown. They need time filler on Raw, so that's why SmackDown. That's why it's there. What do you do with the Raw tag division? Jeez, you need to bring some guys up. Revival would be good on Raw because they need some more tag teams. So, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think the problem again is it's the thing. It's like I want to protect NXT, and give a reason to watch every week. But that's the thing, man. It's like the Revival and TM61 and Gargano and Ciampa. I mean, it's like you take them out of NXT and then what are we watching every week? The Authors of Pain, basically the Authors of Pain, just every week. They're authors. They write. What's their medium? Pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pain and erotic X-Files / fiction.
You got 16 tag teams in this Dusty Classic, so.
But aren't some of them like created tag teams?
Yeah, they're makeshift.
But
actually,
still, I'd like to see more of that. I like to see more of that. Like, let's do that on Raw.
You're not using Neville at all. Why not?
Oh yeah.
Unless they're building him for something like, so many guys that are not doing anything, that aren't even being shown on TV. Put them in a team, see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's the way you cure Raw's tag team problems, is like because that's a storyline. I mean, even with Cesaro and Sheamus, now granted it's not being executed in the most elegant way, but that storyline writes itself when you have two guys that have to come together and work together to be an effective team. That storyline almost always yields results.
Yeah. We'll get a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I thought Dolph was coming back as a stable with Shelton Benjamin, another superstar. No, that was an original plan for someone. I forget who that was, but that was before Shelton was injured, and Shelton's out for a while.
Oh, we ignored it because I think based on the promos, it should be ignored. But Kurt Hawkins is apparently going to be at No Mercy in wrestling. Block that from my mind. I don't know if you caught that little tidbit of a promo.
You talk about deepening the talent pool. And Kurt Hawkins actually is a pretty good wrestler, but this gimmick is doom. There's too much. The campy comedy as a gimmick has such a short shelf life, if that. Adam Rose, Bo Dallas. I mean, those are just recent examples, and that's what this is.
Yeah, again, Kurt Hawkins is no Adam Rose.
Right. Someone's asking Sasha and Charlotte in the cell. Yep, that's what it looks like is going to happen. So hopefully that they move on from that feud after that. You haven't, I don't know who you go on to. Maybe it'll be Nia Jax. But yeah, they're going to have a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that'll be interesting to see what happens with Emma coming back in her new gimmick, to see if she maybe gets in the action there. But it seems like with the new gimmick, they won't have her resume her partnership with Dana and pick that up where they left off.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right. I think last question. Someone's asking about thoughts on the Rumble in the Alamo Dome. That is, I was surprised when I heard. I went to the last Royal Rumble at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio 20 years ago, and man, everywhere they were just giving away tickets. You went to Taco Bell and, you could get tickets for like $3. They had a hard time getting 60,000, but they did. And they do a better job now getting, drawing crowds than they did, in 96 or 97. So I don't know. They got what? November. 3 months? Is that it?
Yeah.
To build for a stadium show. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tarp off the top sections and try to do like 50. I think they're going to have a really tough time outdrawing the last one, because the last one they did a lot of promotion, but who knows? If they do, I always thought they should make SummerSlam a stadium show and have 2 a year. If they really want to make SummerSlam more like WrestleMania, SummerSlam's in the summer. It's easier to do a stadium show in the summer because of the weather. And yeah, I always thought that was a no-brainer, or at least like a 45,000 seat stadium.
With the Rumble, that'll be interesting to see what happens. It's weird hearing them talk about the road to WrestleMania starting there, but it's almost that time. I mean, have you heard anything about when Mania tickets are going to go on sale? When they're going to push the travel packages soon?
No, I haven't.
It was this time last year that.
Yeah, it should be soon. With the Rumble though, if you are going to do Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, it would make sense to me to hold it for the Rumble, because you need a big drawing card for that stadium.
Yeah, no, with that many people. And that would certainly do it. Although, man, what a slap in the face to all the current headliners.
It's about who draws. And if you're not outdrawing Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, then you gotta, you gotta stop whining.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Cool. Well, I think that just about wraps it up for this edition of the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Come back and join us Sunday night, right after No Mercy ends. Raj Giri will be here with Matt Morgan and Vince Russo to talk about everything that happens there. And then, of course, Monday nights with Matt Morgan, we have our podcast talking about Monday Night Raw. Now, programming note, I will actually be at the pay-per-view on Sunday and at Monday Night Raw on Monday. So I will be back here next Wednesday to talk about SmackDown Live, because I'll be there live for that Tuesday night as well. So yeah. You can follow us all on Twitter, both Raj and myself. Check the show notes for our information. If you like the show, subscribe on iTunes or YouTube. Leave us a comment and a rating. Let us know what you think. We appreciate those questions, and we'll be taking those more throughout the podcast as weeks go on. For the foreseeable future on Wednesdays, Raj and myself, this is what it's going to be. We're joined by the occasional special guest. And Raj, before we wrap this up, anything you want to plug on the Wrestling Inc. website?
No, just check us out. Tons of stuff already up today, and tonight we'll have the stuff with Goldberg and Lesnar, so keep checking us out.
Cool, man. So for now, thanks for joining us. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and I'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Thanks.